Don't you hate having a million different ideas but never being able to see a single one all the way through? Well, what if I told you that your problem with finishing a script has absolutely nothing to do with your writing? The thing most screenwriters do wrong is that they don't spend any of their time actually writing. Instead, they spend 90% of the time thinking. In this video, I'm going to show you how I went from not even being able to get halfway through a draft to writing 3 full feature-length screenplays. You're probably dying to know what this advice is, and I don't blame you, because I'm really compelling. But first, I want to go over the problem with having too many ideas at once. Obviously, thinking of ideas is a very crucial part of the writing process, because if you don't have any ideas, then you're not going to write anything. But if they stay inside of your head for too long, you're going to start to feel like a sealed can of soda that just keeps getting shaken up. That didn't look like soda, did it? You've got all these different ideas stuck inside, just ready to burst out of you, but you never actually open up. If you follow what I'm about to share with you, you'll have so many different ideas spilling out of you that you won't even know what to do with them. If you're anything like me, most of your ideas seem ingenious at first. Like you're almost surprised that they even came to you in the first place, but they're just sort of these one-off concepts that don't really have anything to do with each other, and nothing ever comes of any of them. This was me for a while. You know, like I wanted to write a screenplay, and I'd have all these sort of light bulb moments where I'd be like, wow, that sounds like an awesome movie, like all the time, dude. It's very annoying. And then I'd start writing it, and I'd get about halfway through, and I'd realize it was actually kind of stupid, and then that would be the end of it. You know, I'd never commit myself to one thing. I wanted to write so many different movies, but instead, I never wrote a single one. I made it my goal to just finish one project, not for it to be good, just to get to the end of the script and write out the words fade out. I didn't even let myself think about other movie ideas that I had. I just focused on this one thing. Do you know what happened after this? Because I gave my brain a goal to finish this one particular script, it started searching for ideas throughout my day-to-day specifically related to it. Like, I got the loose idea of writing a story about a high schooler struggling with anxiety. That was all I had at this point. And then I was messing around with music production, and finally, I got a little drunk at a party, you know, and one thing led to another, whatever. The final piece of the puzzle came. I started writing a screenplay about a kid in high school who liked making music, and one day he goes to a party, but his social anxiety causes him to give in to pressure, and he gets really drunk. I didn't even realize it, but now all these ideas that I was coming up with, all of them were connected to each other without me even doing that intentionally. If you come up with something, there's a reason you came up with it. Like, I just got an MRI, and it turns out that even after years of doubting myself, I actually have a brain. If you have a brain too, odds are this is also going to work for you. Let's say you decide on the screenplay you want to stick with. Great. But now you've got an even bigger problem. Now every time you sit down to write, for whatever reason, your mind just goes blank and you can't make any progress in your current story. The amazing thing about writing is that you can literally do it whenever you want, and all it takes is a couple of seconds at a time. One of the most prolific screenwriters ever is Aaron Sorkin, but before he became an Academy Award winner, he was paying the bills 100 different ways. You know, he was, I think he was driving a cab, he was dressing up as a moose in Times Square, and he was bartending. Even though it was what he wanted to do with his life, he hardly had any time to actually write. He'd be so overwhelmed from all these jobs that whenever he would sit down to write, he wouldn't be able to focus, you know? He'd just be stuck staring at a blank piece of paper because now all the stress accumulating from his work was stopping him from getting into a writing flow. Now, there were times throughout the day where ideas would just randomly come to him. The problem was he just couldn't remember any of them. That was when he realized all he really needed were a few seconds at a time. Once he realized this, a whole bunch of opportunities to write seemed to spawn out of nowhere. Like, what he started doing was writing his ideas down on cocktail napkins while working his job as a bartender. He would then go home and type out all these ideas. And after enough hours put to scribbling down notes on cocktail napkins, he put the entire script together for A Few Good Men, which eventually became a movie with both Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson. This is what I refer to as the toilet paper method. And the truth is, I just thought it sounded a little bit better than like the cocktail napkin method. But the point of it is that you can write down any idea you have on any resource you have available at any time in your day. You could do it on your phone while you're parked safely in your car. No texting and driving, please. You could do it on sticky notes while you're at work, or you could do it on toilet paper while you're taking a poop in the bathroom. No matter what it is you're currently doing, if you have a medium to write on, when an idea pops into your head, write it down immediately. Even if it seems so bad that you would actually rather use the toilet paper that you wrote the idea on to wipe your butt, I still want you to write that down. Don't worry about whether it fits in the plot or if it makes sense to you. Like, I know that writing can be difficult if everything you put down seems like the worst sentence to ever be created, but there's a technique for that I'm going to share with you later. First, I want to tell you why this is a foolproof cure for writer's block. Imagine your screenplay is a brand new car and you take a road trip. You're looking forward to this vacation, enjoying watching the horizon alongside that new car smell until it breaks down. Right when you were at your peak excitement, thinking about how amazing a time you were having, everything comes to a halt. That's writer's block coming in to stop everything. You don't know what the problem is. All you know is that you're not moving anymore. You try everything. You call AAA, but they can't send any cars. Or maybe you don't even have any phone service. Maybe you filled it up with some gas you had left in the trunk, but that wasn't even the problem. Just at that moment when everything seems hopeless and you're ready to give up, some random stranger pulls over next to you and he pulls out a pair of jumper cables to jumpstart your car and give it the boost you needed to finish your trip. That jumpstart, that's one of the ideas you wrote down 3 weeks ago. That's all it takes, dude. Just having that one little idea to work with can serve as a spark you needed to get yourself moving again so you can finally reach your destination, because that's what really causes writer's block. You feel like you have nothing left in the tank, or that anything that you do think of is just silly and you shut everything that comes to mind down. If you have a database of ideas at your disposal, you have an endless bank to pull from every single time you sit down. So now, rather than trying to make something up out of thin air, you actually have a tangible place to pull your ideas from. You start doing this regularly, sitting down to write will become so much easier, because one of the worst feelings in the world as a writer is forgetting an idea that you had. Trust me, I'm a victim of this myself. I can't tell you how many times I'll have this amazing scene from my movie come to mind, but then I'll just leave it there and it'll never even see the light of day. Whatever method you decide to go with to jot these things down, think of it like it's a second brain for yourself, okay? Your actual brain can only hold so many thoughts at a time. So if you come up with all these ideas inside of your head, but you never give them a voice or a place to express themselves, then your brain's just going to be filled up with all those, and there's never going to be any room left for anything else to come in. As soon as you let out just a couple of these ideas, you start opening the door for endless ideas to start swarming back in. And this is what really sets apart the writers from the struggling writers, is that the people who are actually writing are the ones that are actually exercising their ability to write and to come up with new ideas. But even after you put together a coordinated basket of ideas, our brains still like to abuse us. I had an iPhone note of seemingly infinite ideas for a screenplay, right? And yet, anytime I'd read one of them, I'd just think to myself, this is no good. I would never actually write anything of them down, and I'd still somehow suffer writer's block. Even though I had the seemingly endless index at my disposal, it didn't matter. So I had to find a way to be able to write with the excitement like it was the best thing I'd ever seen. I just decided to reframe my thinking. I had to almost delude myself. I went to the very first idea on the list and I just looked at it and said, wow, this is an amazing idea. Even if it wasn't true, it was like I unlocked a new muscle inside of my brain. Now suddenly, instead of fighting against me, it was working with me to churn out as many of these ideas as it could as quickly as possible. More and more ideas just kept coming to me and building off of each other. And before I knew it, I had a full draft for a screenplay in 3 weeks. I had never written a screenplay that quickly. I felt like John Hughes, because he wrote all his screenplays in 2 weeks. Oh, you didn't know that? Well, good thing you're watching my video, right? Hello? You cannot judge these ideas that you pull out of your notes. If your brain starts telling you this is stupid, what was I even thinking? You just stop that, immediately, and instead tell yourself how awesome it is, even if you don't think it's true, because all that matters in that moment is your self-talk, what you're telling yourself about your ideas. Think of it this way. Let's say you have two writers. One of them has no confidence in his ability to write at all. So all his self-talk is just going to be how bad he is at writing and how he, all his ideas stink and it's not even worth trying. But the other guy is telling himself, he thinks that he's writing the best movie of all time as he's sitting there writing it. Which of these two guys, one, do you think is going to get their work done faster? But also, who's going to have the better material to begin with? It's the guy who believes that he's writing a good script. Whether you like it or not, the things you tell yourself about your writing will show in your writing. So now you've got everything you need, right? You're a writing machine with new creativity coming to you like pencil shavings to a magnet. But there's still a problem. You've still got way too many things going on in your life. And despite having all these ideas, you can never find any time to actually sit down and write them. Well, lucky for you, I've built an easy fix for this problem. And if you want to know what it is, just check out this video here. Although if I haven't recorded it yet, this is kind of awkward. It'll be here soon. Just for now, I don't know. Just subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified once I do post that video. Because I promise it's going to be a really good video, just like this one was. Okay, yeah, didn't exactly think this through. Yeah.